Today, I'm going to explain a sports action movie called Soul Surfer. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. The movie opens in the early 2000s as a young girl named Bethany Hamilton recalls her childhood in Hawaii. Her family home was by the sea, so her parents were die-hard surfers. This love for the saltwater waves also passed down onto Bethany and her two elder brothers, Noah and Timmy. In fact, like anyone growing up with two older brothers, she became fiercely competitive. Her passion for surfing is also shared by her best friend, Alana Blanchard. The two girls have been practically inseparable since they were kids. They usually hit the waves together, and both of them have dreamt of being professional surfers. Currently, Bethany is a teenager, living her best life with her family and friends. She regularly takes to the sea with her surfboard and spends hours practicing and enjoying the waves. It is not just a hobby for her, it's an integral part of life. One beautiful afternoon, Bethany is enjoying surfing the waves when her brother Noah calls her from the shore. He reminds her that they are getting late for their church ministry. Religion, just like surfing, is an important part of life for people living in Hawaii. Hence, Bethany quickly rushes out of the water to join her family in the local church. During the service, she enjoys a wonderful song from the choir. The group also includes her church youth ministry leader, Sarah Hill, and Alana. A few hours later in her room, Bethany casually plays a tune on her ukulele. She also mindlessly looks out her window and sees a cute sight. Her mother, Sherry, and her father, Tom, are having a surfing competition. She quickly informs her brothers, and the trio goes outside to have fun with their parents. They rate their parents' surfing skills and joke around with each other. It is also revealed that Tom has a knee replacement surgery planned later that week. A few days later, Bethany and Alana arrive at a nearby beach for a local junior surfing competition. The whole area is abuzz with youngsters, locals, tourists, and even representatives of big companies. Shortly afterwards, the competition begins and the stakes are raised high. The commentators announce that the three podium holders will get a chance to challenge at the Hawaii regional level games. The participants then get into the water and keenly wait for the right wave to come. They will be judged on the basis of how expertly they ride the wave and what tricks they can pull off. After the first round, three girls begin to separate themselves from the rest. Bethany is firmly holding on to third, while Alana is in first. Bethany's arch rival, the talented and shrewd Molina Birch, is in the second position. It is revealed that the girl is also ultra competitive and doesn't shy away from using any tactics to clinch the victory. She repeatedly impedes her competitors, which is unsportsmanlike but completely legal. It is obvious that she is getting under Bethany's skin, hampering the latter's performance. During halftime, Tom tells his daughter to calm down and focus. Being an expert surfer himself, he also offers her some technical tips. This makes a huge difference, as Bethany's performance immediately improves. After the final round of competition, Alana takes third, Molina takes second, and Bethany comes out as the winner. Things get even better for our girl as it is announced that an agency named Rip Curl would like to sponsor them for the regional competition. Sometime later, Bethany and Alana run into Molina near a flea market. The bitter rival informs them that she'll do everything in her power to win the regional competition, even if that means doing something radical. The following day, Bethany attends a youth service in the local church. She has a chat with Sarah after the service is over. From their conversation, it is revealed that Bethany was supposed to join a church mission to Mexico, but now that she is selected for regional competition, she has decided to pull out of the mission. Sarah is slightly bummed by this news, and her disappointment can be clearly seen on her face. Later on, Bethany tells her mother about this whole interaction and asks if she made the right decision. In response, Sherry says it's her call to make, and no one can force her. That evening, Alana arrives at Bethany's house and they sneak out to go night surfing. However, the news of this trip reaches Sherry, who confronts her daughter the very next morning. She berates Bethany for not telling her that she was going night surfing, which can be dangerous. The teenager argues that if she had, Sherry wouldn't have let her go. Tom, who is also present there, agrees with his daughter. He then heads to the hospital for his knee surgery along with his youngest son. In the meantime, Alana, her father Holt, and her brother Brian arrive to pick up Bethany for a quick practice session. The trio soon reaches the seaside and promptly starts surfing. Initially, the practice session goes as planned. All the youngsters have a great time riding waves and performing performing tricks. Things, however, soon take a dark turn when the kids lay down on their boards while still in the sea. As Bethany dangles her left arm in the water, a shark unexpectedly attacks. The powerful beast then bites her left arm clean off her body. Oh bro, no! This causes all hell to break loose, and Bethany is quickly taken out of the water. In the aftermath, Holt tells his son to call 911 and uses his shirt to tie a tourniquet on her bleeding arm. Brian then runs to his truck, which is parked nearby, and calls 911. He also delivers the devastating news to Sherry. While Tom is getting ready for surgery, a nurse comes in and informs the surgeon that there has been a shark attack on a local teen. Tom immediately gets curious as to who the victim is, but the surgeon calms him down and promises to tell him once the situation is clear. Back at the beach, Holt and his children carry Bethany on a surfboard and into their truck. They drive down the freeway and meet the ambulance halfway to the hospital. Unfortunately, Tom is soon given this devastating news, and he immediately tries to leave for home, but the surgeon restrains him and points out he can barely walk. Despite losing a lot of blood in a short amount of time, the doctors manage to save Bethany. She wakes up several hours later and finds her family beside her. The teenager shows great composure and doesn't even cry in front of her parents. Just then, Holt walks into the room, and Bethany thanks him for saving her life. Moments later, the doctor comes in and explains that Bethany will still feel some pain for a few days. He adds that she lost almost 60% of her blood, and it is a miracle that she is even alive. A few days pass by, and Alana finally visits her friend at the hospital. She is very emotional due to the tragedy and barely has the words to speak, but Bethany encourages her to go ahead and do the rip curl photo shoot without her. Sometime later, she is discharged from the hospital and driven home by her mother. There is a large crowd of reporters waiting to get some sound bites off of Bethany. Sound bites? Really, bro? But Tom intervenes and drives the car through the back of the house to avoid them. As days pass by, Bethany slowly begins to realize the severity of her injury. She tries to handle basic chores, but they prove to be extremely difficult for her. Things aren't all doom and gloom, however. As Tom has some uplifting news during dinner time, he informs everyone that he received a phone call from a show called Inside Edition. They are willing to give Bethany a prosthetic arm if she's willing to do an interview with them. To everyone's surprise, the teenager says she doesn't mind it and agrees to the deal. No matter how deep the tragedy is, Bethany realizes that life goes on. She tries to adjust to her new life the best she can. She also goes to the hospital a few weeks later to have her stitches removed. Sherry cannot stop herself and bowls when she looks at the state of her daughter's arm. As soon as Sarah, the local church minister, returns from Mexico, she visits the teenager. The duo has a chat during which Bethany cries about the terrible thing that happened to her, but Sarah tells her to have faith and says that something good will come out of this difficult situation. In the meantime, some local fishermen eventually catch and terminate the same shark that bit Bethany's arm off. Tom cannot help but cry when he tests the size of its mouth with the bite size on Bethany's surfboard. That afternoon, Bethany goes to the beach where Alana is having her rip curl photo shoot. The latter requests her to come back to surfing, and Bethany eventually agrees to do so. She later prepares a meal for her family and informs them that she is prepared to go back to surfing. Everyone is excited by the news, and the family happily packs their gear and heads to the beach. Bethany, to everyone's surprise, shows great prowess on the board, and Noah covers the event on his video camera. The teenager is so stoked that she tells her family that she wants to compete in the regional competition. Thanksgiving soon arrives, and Tom hosts a party where he makes a toast to Bethany. He thanks God that she is still alive to be with them. Sherry also goes over to Holt and thanks him for saving her daughter. However, this wave of good vibes doesn't last long, as Inside Edition presents Bethany with a prosthetic arm a few days later. It looks freakishly similar to her real arm, but is non-weight bearing, meaning that she won't be able to use it to surf. Bethany was very hopeful about this, but now her dreams seem to crumble. Seeing her so upset, Sherry encourages her that she's beautiful, even without the prosthetics. With the support of her family, Bethany begins training for the regional competition. Every session is recorded so she can watch them and correct their mistakes. The big day soon arrives, and the entire Harrison family makes their way to the competition venue. There, Bethany sees one of her church members taking donations for the people of Thailand who were devastated by the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. Unfortunately, Bethany does not perform well, as she is unable to catch the waves in time. Malina, who is the overwhelming favorite to win the competition, is also up to her usual shenanigans. She mercilessly hassles Bethany and every other participant. Upon seeing this, Alana interferes in order to stop her from going toe-to-toe with Bethany, but ends up getting disqualified. The first day of competition competition comes to a miserable end as Bethany's board eventually breaks and she has to be pulled out of the water. In the next scene, Bethany scolds Alana for trying to stand up for her. It is obvious that she doesn't want sympathy from anyone. Bethany is so devastated by her abysmal performance that she gives away all her surfboards and decides to quit surfing altogether. Tom tries to encourage her daughter not to give up, but Sherry tells him not to push the poor girl too hard. Now that surfing is out of the picture, Bethany decides to join her local church group on a mission to Thailand. They soon land in Phuket, which is absolutely ravaged by the tsunami. Bethany is horrified by the level of destruction she witnesses and immediately starts helping the locals. Here, among devastated homes and people who have lost everything, Bethany begins to see the silver lining in her own accident. She could have died that day, like so many people here in Thailand, but instead, she is still alive and has the good fortune to have her family. This changes her entire perspective on life. Upon returning home, Bethany discovers that she has received a lot of mail from people across the world. Apparently, the video of her at the Hawaii Regional Games spread like wildfire. The senders of the letters inform Bethany that she is their hero. This encourages the teenager, and she decides to compete at the National Games, which are soon taking place in Hawaii. Tom then designs a surfboard specifically for his daughter. He rigs a handle into the underside, which she can use to prevent falling off while paddling out to the waves. This ingenious method is completely within the rules of the competition. In the next scene, Bethany begins extensive training for the competition that includes weight training as well as endurance running. She also rekindles her friendship with her best friend, Alana. The scene shifts to the day of the big national competition. Tom pulls his daughter to the side and gives her one last pep talk. He reveals that all great surfers have a natural instinct for sensing when the best waves will form. According to him, Bethany also possesses this innate ability, and he encourages her to make good use of it. Soon, the competition officially begins, and Bethany hangs on with the rest of the participants. She easily makes it through to the semifinals, much to the surprise of the spectators. This is when Bethany comes face to face with her old beau, Malina. That bitch. The shrewd girl is extremely confident and backs it up with performances that rack her 9 out of 10 points. On the other hand, Bethany is clinging on to 5th position as the clock begins to tick away. With a few minutes to go, she catches a wave and rides it majestically. She even does a trick at the wave's lip, earning herself a perfect 10 out of 10. This leaves her with one last chance to beat Malina. With only a minute left, the waves die down. All the competitors can only wait now as they meet the waves to resume their performance. But surprisingly, Bethany is able to sense a big one forming. She then paddles out alone and manages to catch it just as the horn sounds. The spectators are left stunned as she rides it gloriously. In the words of Owen Wilson, wow. However, the judges rule that her last ride doesn't make the count as she stood on the board after the final horn. Tom is furious at the decision, but Bethany tells him that it means a lot that she is able to perform well. Eventually, Malina is declared the rightful winner of the competition. It's a good thing YouTube isn't popular yet. She'd get shredded in the comments. She receives the award for the first position, but decides to share it with Bethany. After the felicitations are over, Bethany is interviewed by reporters. They ask her if, given the chance to go back to the day she lost her arm, she would still choose to surf. Bethany replies that she wouldn't change a thing that has happened to her. She believes that her experience has given her the opportunity to connect with and inspire more people.